One of the recent Nobel Prize winners was quoted with a similar view when she said, "It's very hard to steer a parked car, so get moving." If you think about that, it's exactly right. You've got to keep moving. You've got to keep trying. You've got to keep correcting. You've got to keep changing to match what the real world, the messages you're getting from the real world. Guy Kawasaki, who's a very insightful and successful entrepreneur, capitalist, and Forbes columnist who's spoken to a group like this in Wilmington before, he says that the key to creating a successful business is to think from the outside in, to think about whether there's a problem out there in the real world that you have a unique and valuable solution that you can apply to that. Find out what's wrong, what's unsatisfactory now, and be sure that you have an answer to address that problem in the real world marketplace. Until you have a thoroughly thought through answer to that question, you're at great risk of being one of those statistics, because you're at risk of having a solution about which you may be very passionate, for which there really is no problem to apply this passionate solution of yours. But once you're convinced that you have a thorough understanding of a real marketplace problem that already exists, and that you've developed a unique, economical, and protectable solution to that problem, then and only then are you at the right starting place. And now you can start doing all the easy stuff. You can build substantial protective barriers around your solution. You can find more than enough patient, flexible capital that'll stick with you as you work your way through the real marketplace modifications out there. You can build a great board full of smart people that know things you don't know and that will challenge you and focus you and keep you thinking about how to be continually successful. And you can create formal processes, practices to solicit that input from the real world, to listen to customers, to follow competition, to stay on top of what's going on in the real world out there, as both your solution needs to be modified to match competitive pressures, and as the problem gets redefined by what's going on in the real world out there all the time. These companies that we honor here today are terrific examples of companies that are well down that path. Each of them has shown themselves to be adept at defining a unique solution to a substantial real-world problem in the real marketplace. They've assembled the resources to put their solution into action, and they're making the constant course corrections to stay on target in a rapidly changing world. My company, Wilmington Pharmaceuticals, has proven to be pretty adept at assembling resources economically to put our solutions into action. Those of you who know the pharmaceutical industry know that the average cost to develop a new drug is a little bit more than $1 billion. And it generally takes 15 to 20 years from the initial idea some pointy-headed scientist has in a laboratory somewhere to get it to the Walgreens shelf. And the odds of any one of those ideas that started out in a Petri dish somewhere of ever getting to the Walgreens shelf are way less than 1%. So it's a pretty daunting general business environment that the pharmaceutical industry faces. And it's particularly harsh for thinly capitalized, risk-sensitive entrepreneurial companies. The big legacy pharmaceutical companies, as well as many entrepreneurs in this room and elsewhere, do, though, undertake that challenge all the time in the pharmaceutical business. And the reason is because the prize is so attractive. A successful pharmaceutical product can have a 10 or 15 or 20 year annuity-like relationship with patients and physicians at a gross margin of 75 to 85%. So we all take those risks and we pursue that attractive prize. In our case at Wilmington Pharmaceuticals, our original idea was that we could address a really substantial problem of poor patient compliance. Patients don't take their medicine. They don't do what the doctor told them to do for lots of reasons. And it's a very expensive result for the American healthcare system. Poor patient compliance costs the U.S. healthcare system about $1 billion a year and 125,000 unnecessary deaths just because the patients didn't follow the course of action the physicians had in mind. We believed that making some products, some drugs that people take easier to swallow, easier to get in by making them melt in your mouth would be a good idea, would be welcomed by the physicians, welcomed by the patients, and even welcomed by the payers in the insurance industry because it would help the patients get well better and faster. Rather than go directly to Chad Paul and just ask for $1 billion and a 15-year patience for that, we thought really hard about how we might find some ways to build those kinds of products less expensively and get them to that prize of the Walgreens shelf a lot faster. So we spent a lot of time thoroughly refining our understanding of the problem and what the solution was we had in mind. We spent a lot of time talking to experts in the pharmaceutical industry, in the regulatory industry, in the manufacturing side of pharmaceuticals. I spent a lot of time driving up and down I-40, talking to people with money in the Raleigh-Durham area, enjoying that gentle bouquet of hog waste wafting through the air conditioner there, up and down, hearing that pop, pop, pop of the hog bugs splatting on the windshield there, up and down, and spoke to basically everybody that we could find in Raleigh and offered them an opportunity to invest in what we thought was a very well thought out business idea.